Yo, what is going on, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 gameplay video. Hey, in this video, we're going to be talking about the Jotunn. You may call it the Jotun, the Jotun, whatever. I go by the pronunciation that the sandbox developers for Destiny go by. They've tweeted out a couple of times it's Jotunn, so I'm going to go with Jotunn. So, Jotunn, I don't have it. Okay, I spent hours chasing this thing. I used 7 powerful frames. 7 this week. You're like, 6 is... It's only possible to do 6. No, if you haven't unlocked some of the other forges yet, you can go through the process of unlocking them for a free additional powerful frame. So I did 6 plus 1 and still did not have it drop. I'm mad. But shout out to Jolo and his clan, the Gaming Study. Pretty cool clan that tries to find a home for military gamers, a clan they can call home. But I got to use his account for 7 hours to play with this exotic. Now, this exotic, it is the definition of exotic to me. It sounds very unique, like hammer and tongs. It sounds so cool. It looks like no other weapon in the history of Destiny. It is extremely unique. It behaves in a very unique very unique manner. There's no other weapon out there that does what it does. It's very unique, and it's powerful, but it's not. It's too inconsistent. It's too situational to be called OP, in my opinion. The tracking is not OP. I mean, look at some of these clips. Look at this. People that are barely moving. They're basically standing still, and the tracking. I mean, I don't even know if these shots were off at all, let alone needing any tracking to assist them, and nothing, no hit markers on a couple of these shots. It's not OP, guys. It really isn't. I know a lot of people call this weapon OP based off of the highlights of some of the best players in Destiny 2 right now, posting their highlights, and they're drawing their conclusions based off of those highlights. Guys, I streamed 5 hours straight with this thing today, and people were able to see very clearly, even people who said, coming into it, I thought this was overpowered, but now I'm seeing it live, I'm seeing the gameplay, and yeah, I'm able to make some pretty cool plays here and there. But I mean, there are so many things, so many engagements where this thing just it rolls snake eyes. You pull the trigger, you do the 860 charge rate, which is long, by the way, it's long, and then this thing just completely whiffs, and you're up the creek without a paddle, man. Like, not a lot of players will let you get away with missing a shot that's, an 860 charge rate that takes that long to fire. Not many players are going to let you get away with that. So I dropped some pretty high kill count games, but my KDs are significantly lower than the KDs I get when I'm running my Aaron Till, because I'm trading a lot more, or I'm losing gunfights a lot more. So I can still frag out and do some really cool things, but it's too inconsistent to be labeled OP, I mean, I remember using Sturm and Drang and getting a 70 bomb, and having people on YouTube and on Twitch saying that the combination was overpowered based off of the highlights of one player, an outlier. They're drawing their conclusions. Guys, I would caution you to pump the brakes when passing judgment about weapons, exotics, etc. that are brand freaking new, that have been out for literally just a few days. So take the time to get your hands on this thing. I would encourage you to play with it before you make an opinion that you would fight over. You know what I mean? So against two-dimensional players who overcommit to their positions, this thing is amazing. But against mobile players, it can be downright infuriating to use. And we wanted powerful stuff. We did. It was one of the biggest things of feedback that we gave the sandbox team, Bungie, the developers, about year one. We said, these exotics suck. I mean, they're yellow, they're exotic, but they do really stupid, crummy things that are not exotic, and they had to do a lot of fine-tuning on these exotics from year one to make them even somewhat relevant. And now, after Forsaken dropped, we're starting to see some powerful, unique exotics, and I think that is fantastic. So I get really hesitant anytime people start to, especially after a couple of days, start calling for nerfs on things. Guys, I do not want a diluted Destiny experience like we had in year one. I don't want that. I don't think anyone wanted that. It was boring. It was bland. The more things like this we have in the sandbox, the more interesting, fun, dynamic, cool, flashy this game is going to be. We wanted powerful stuff. Now, I've heard some other criticisms where people say this is basically a power weapon in an energy slot. That is downright ridiculous. Having spent 7 hours playing with this thing, that is ridiculous. There's no way this thing is the equivalent of an exotic power weapon. You know, it's to say that it is the same thing as having a Wardcliff coil that takes special ammo is ridiculous. They're not even remotely comparable. I would much rather fight against this than a Wardcliff coil. I would much rather fight against this than a tractor cannon that took special ammo. I would much rather fight against this than a colony that takes special ammo. The things are just, they are not comparable whatsoever. And it takes, you know, only one match of playing with this thing to know that. So pump the brakes. Also, one of the things you have to consider, yes, this thing is powerful and it's very inconsistent, very situational, but it might actually encourage people to put down, you know, a Luna or Not Forgotten. You know, the things that are really running the meta right now. You look at Guardian.gg and you look at the statistics, the meta is very one-dimensional right now. And so it's something that might splash, you know, it might shake things up a little bit. That's a good thing. That is a very, very good thing. I love this exotic. It has a learning curve. It has big play potential. You have the potential to do some really freaking cool, flashy things. It is the opposite of boring. I mean, using this thing feels really, really space magic. Very cool. It's a very fun experience. And it's potentially one of my favorite exotics in the history of Destiny 2. So the TV rating I would give this thing is a solid 9 out of 10. It is so cool, so freaking unique. And I'm very glad it's in the game. I would hate for it to get any kind of a nerf whatsoever because it would lose all of its usability and you wouldn't see it again, which would be a darn shame for something so unique to be slapped with nerfs just because the community overreacts to something that's been in the game for a couple of days. I'm very interested to see how this plays out. You know, I have the same opinion about this that I had about Mountaintop. When they first announced Mountaintop and they showed a clip, everybody freaked out. They panicked and they were just irate all over social media. And I said, guys, this will not be a problem. Guess what? It's not a problem. Mountaintop is basically non-existent in the meta. It's very, very, very rarely used. I see at best one a day. And my gaming sessions are 8 hours plus sometimes because this is what I do for a living. I stream this and I see very, very few of them. And it did nothing for the it existing. Really, it did barely anything to the use of grenade launchers overall. And this is a similar situation where you have people overreacting based on highlights that they've seen. And we just got to pump the brakes. I guarantee you guys, it won't be a problem. It won't be something that we're moaning about a month from now. I promise you that. So just stick it out with me. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay. I'm going to let it roll. And you can, I've talked about how it sounds and how it looks. And you lose some of that when I'm giving commentary and you can't actually hear it for yourself. So I'll give you a minute or so of gameplay just to listen to it, see it, and see it in action against even some supers. So I hope you enjoy that, guys. Thanks for watching the video. I hope to catch you in the Crucible.
You're pulling ahead. Keep it that way. Dominating the field. Don't let up. Double down. Five minutes remain. A strong double down.